Welcome to EPG Pathashala. I am Dr. T. Seshasai, retired Associate Professor of Philosophy, National College, Tiruchirappalli. In the subject on Indian culture, the paper which I am going to deal is on Indian religion and philosophy, especially module on Dharma. Dharma is the most important factor in our life, and nobody can bypass the Dharma as it is. It has got a multifarious meanings, out of which we are going to see the philosophical significance today. Now, we are going to see the learning objectives of the Dharma. The first we are going to deal with introduction. The next is the concept of Dharma. The third aspect is constitutive aspect of Dharma. And we are going to see regulative aspect of Dharma. Dharma as a human value, Dharma and the influence on Dharma on human conduct, Dharma and law. And finally, we are going to summarize the entire views on Dharma. Dharma is regarded as one of the most important goals of human life, that is, Purusharthas. The expression Dharma is derived from the etymological root Dhr, which means binds or supports or upholds. Dharati iti dharmaha. So, that which supports, that which upholds, that which binds. In the present context, Dharma stands for righteousness, for it serves the purpose of a regulative principle. Now, Dharma is the foundation for good life, and the Indian culture regards it as underlying principle for all the achievements in the areas of human inquiry, such as science, philosophy, literature, arts, morality, sociality, polity, religion and spirituality. Dharma provides quality to human life. It does not leave anything in our human life. It encompasses everything. It not only binds a particular aspect of life, it also binds the entire human life. In fact, Dharma is polymorphous, that is, it has got multifarious meanings, and it acquires different meanings in different contexts. So it is contextual also. It refers each and every aspect of life it touches. So it binds each and every aspect of our life, and it is the fundamental or the law-centered meaning of Dharma remains unchanged, though it has got a permanent aspect as well as evolutionary aspect. Let us go through the concept and its origin of the concept of Dharma. Dharma has its origin in the Vedas. In the Vedas, we come across the concept called Ritha. This Ritha is the vision of the Vedic seers of inexplorable, unswerving and pervasive nature, natural and moral order prevailing in the reality. It is actually the cosmic order which binds, which regulates, which is in and through the universe. This concept of Ritha, as seen in the Vedic age, it is comprehensive. Dharma is the base and the sustaining power of the entire cosmic reality. In this reality, everything originates in accordance with Dharma. That means it has got for everything, Dharma is the foundation. Dharma is the basis. It is Dharma which roots out the evil. In other words, Dharma as a guiding principle of the cosmos performs multiple functions such as ordering, coordinating, integrating, regulating, supporting and balancing. All these functions are aimed at universal welfare. Dharma not only promotes the individual welfare but also the universal welfare. It is a fact that both cosmic life and individual life are entangled in imperfection, which is the cause of suffering. In order to eradicate suffering, one needs to perfect oneself. This is the ultimate goal of human life. The great seers visualize that dharma is the only legitimate and efficacious means to perfection. In Vaiseshika Sutras, Kanada writes that dharma is that which leads to the realization of material prosperity as well as spiritual enhancement. If dharma is practiced properly, it provides us with universal welfare. It is a cosmic goal which has to be realized collectively. One finds lots of instances in the classical Indian literature concerning intense human longing for cosmic welfare. None can enjoy dharma in isolation from the others in the society. In the Indian culture, the concept of others is very, very important. An individual is one among the totality called cooperative living. Such cooperative living presupposes interdependence and interrelationship among the individuals. It is dharma which ensures cooperative living. One may think that he is independent and can do anything in this world. It is not so. It is actually we depend on others and others depend on us. Though man takes birth in this world independently, he comes alone and he goes alone. But in between, he always lives in a society and he should struggle, he should promote the welfare of the society. By doing that, he is following his dharma. The constitutive aspect of dharma. Dharma constitutes constitutive and regulative aspects. They are treated as the two sides of the same coin. In its constitutive aspect, dharma is viewed as the law of being, which is the deepest law of our nature. Dharma constitutes the being of things, but also sustains them and the cosmos by determining their course of action. Dharma causes self-preservation and evolution of every padartha. The dharma of each padartha further enables the preservation and evolution of cosmos. The dharma thus contributes to abhyudaya, which means evolution, and nishreyasa, that means preservation. So dharma protects, dharma evolves, dharma as viewed as the fundamental of our life. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, there is a reference to dharma in the context of 4 social classes that is called in Indian philosophy as Chaturvarna. It pertains to Swabhava, Guna and Karma. Swabhava, each and every living being, each and every being and each and everything has got its own Swabhava. Water is always cold. So whenever we touch water, the Swabhava of the water is always cold. So we cannot change the Swabhava of each and everything. And each and every object has got its own guna. So these gunas are sometimes permanent. Even Sri Aurobindo emphasizes on this by holding that everything has its own dharma and its law of life is imposed on its nature. Though dharma is distinct to each and every individual has to partake in the totality as a member. So, individual may think that he is performing his duty, he is performing his dharma, but he is also a member, as a member of a society, he should always work for the society and the universe. That means he should always work for the in totality. He should partake in the universe as a member of the universe. The concepts such as Brahma Bhava, Sarvatma Bhava, Ekatma Bhava, Buddha Bhava only consolidate the above mentioned view. Each entity has its own dharma, yet it contributes to totality for sustenance. This is the metaphysical dimension of dharma. The great Vedic seers envisioned these qualities of dharma with their underlying unity since time immemorial. Dharma stands for peace, perfection, and beatitude for the entire universe. Peace, perfection, and beatitude must be brought about by humans in a conscious, systematic, and planned manner. Therefore, they need to exercise the communitarian spirit. Thus, communality means we have to work for the society. Everybody is one. We should think that each and every man is like me. So, whenever I see a man, I should see me in him and he should see me in him. So, everybody works for others and everybody works for the universe as a whole. Unless men act according to these noble aspirations, there will not be any progress or harmony in this cosmic world. This progress and welfare will come only when we work together for the common cause. If you are egoistic, selfish, nothing can be achieved and it is against Dharma. Dharma is sometimes permanent and yet evolving. Its permanence is represented by its essence and its evolution is seen in our consciousness. This is the regulative aspect of Dharma. There are gradations in our spiritual and ethical life. We try to reach the highest law of nature through sadhana. So sadhana is the only means to achieve anything. For a musician, he should practice regularly so that he can attain perfection in singing. A musician cannot sleep all the time and then he cannot go and sing well on the dais. It will be a mockery. There is evolution in moral consciousness of individuals and good, and this will continue till perfection is achieved. This is a human ideal. The ideal should be reached only by practice. If we do not practice, then we cannot achieve perfection. And one may think that we can talk of good without doing anything good. So it is just a lip service to the concept of good or to the concept of dharma. Humans do not remain contented with what is given, but they aspire for what ought to be achieved. One should achieve whatever is possible to him. At the same time, we should also think, I may do anything, or one may think that he can do anything because he is an independent and free man. It is not so. In order to achieve the perfection, we should always abide by dharma, because dharma is the basis. Dharma shows path to self-perfection. Also, individuals have different capabilities, have to follow different types of dharma. Sometimes one individual at different phases of one's life has to practice different types of dharma. This means individuals should act according to the context, according to the situation. A man may have different dharmas to be performed at different stages of life also. These dharmas are classified into Swadharma, Varna Dharma, Kula Dharma and Yuga Dharma. Swadharma means what is given to one man, it should be performed. He may think the other man's duty is easier and he can think that he can perform the other man's duty perfectly. That is not the case. Bhagavad Gita says one should be happy and one should achieve perfection in doing his own dharma. That is Swadharma. If everybody does this, in the present day also, we don't come across or we will not come across any problem in our life. Because we think that we can perform other man's duty, then the others also think that he can perform my duty or other man's duty, then only there is a conflict and there is difference of opinion and misunderstanding among individuals, societies, nations, and we have actually seen 2 world wars because everybody thinks that he can do or he can enlighten or he can emancipate the others. That is the problem. So Swadharma, by doing Swadharma, one can be happy, one can achieve perfection. Varna Dharma. This Varna Dharma concept has got a specific meaning and a special significance. Each and every man has born as an individual in this society, and as according to Vedas, whenever a man takes a birth, he takes a birth as a Shudra only. By the qualities, he is called a Brahmana or Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra. It is in Varna Dharma also, each and every man has got his own duty. He should not perform another man's duty. So a Brahmana should perform his duty, he has to teach others, he should have Brahmajnana. Kshatriya should protect the nation. Vaishya should cultivate lands and then distribute the cultivation just. And Shudra should perform his own duties. That is, Shudra is not a special class as interpreted, or it is not a caste as interpreted now. The Shudra class, as it is, it helps others. It is the most important factor in your life. Each and every man has got his own duty. By performing one's own duty, one's own dharma, the entire universe, the entire society will emancipate. Kula dharma, each and every kula has got his own duties. Kula is not caste and kula is not determined by the birth. By the activities of a man, he is decided by the activities or the work in which he is involved. That is kula dharma. Suppose a man may be by birth a Brahmin, but if he performs the duties of a businessman, then he is called a businessman. He is a Vaishya. If a Kshatriya, if he teaches and if he is pious and if he is more intelligent and he is always in the higher level and if he considers everybody as his own self, then he is called a Brahmana. So, this Kula Dharma is not according to the birth, according to the work he does. Yuga Dharma, in Yuga Dharma is also each and every Yuga has got its own Dharma. That is, Treta Yuga has got its own significance, Dwapara Yuga has got its own. Now it is Kali Yuga where everybody will become a materialist. Everybody becomes selfish. Everybody wants to do something other than his own capacities. First we should understand the capacities or capabilities of each and every man. Then only, according to his capacity, according to his capability, he can perform well and attain perfection. It is not the case today. That is the dharma of this Kali Yuga. Each and every man wants to develop, wants to do something which is not according to his capacity. Of course, there are many such dharmas to be practiced by individual and at the different situations. Life being too complex, we need to abide by different dharmas in different forms of life. These laws are general dharma. The individual dharma should not come into conflict with this general dharma of society. So, there should not be any clash between individual dharma as well as general dharma. Whenever the society says something, the individual should sacrifice his dharma for the sake of the society. That is the dharma of each and every man. Then only each and every man partakes in the dharma of the society. Since all the individuals do not possess the same capabilities or capacities, there must be a social law to accommodate this variety. They cannot be trained in similar fashion. In each case, perfection differs depending upon one's capabilities. But dharma encompasses all these different standards of practice as an ideal of perfection. Each and every man has got his own capacities, his own specialities in performing a particular act. That does not mean one is superior and another is inferior to him. That is why dharma encompasses each and every man. Dharma says if one is actually at the lower end, one should help the other to come to emancipate himself. One should work for the others. That is the basis of dharma. This Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, this Varna Ashrama, it actually depicts the entire universe as a whole. Each and every part of a human being is very, very important. The head is important, the shoulders are important, the stomach is important at last, but not the least. The most important is the moving limbs, the service attitude, the legs, the hands. All the organs are important. So, the Brahmana, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Shudra, these classes are has got its own significance as we have the body with all limbs. If any one of the limbs does not work, means the entire body will be affected. So, to perform any action, we need head, we have to work with our hands and feet, we have to see how far it actually promotes the welfare of the society. So, to depict this, all these four varnas are more important. The importance of the varna is stressed in our Vedas. Dharma is a human value. The scope of dharma is so wide and varied that it encompasses the entire forms of life lived by human individuals. In Hindu ethics, we come across four important goals of life, Purusharthas. They are Artha, Kama, Dharma and Moksha. This classification, with the first Artha comes, Kama next, Dharma and Moksha later. But the significance of Dharma is more important because Dharma actually regulates Artha, Dharma regulates Kama, Dharma actually promotes the Artha, Kama in a righteous way. So, in each and every, the Artha or the wealth, Kama or the desire, it should not be, since we have independence, we should not think that we can accumulate wealth, amass wealth by hook or crook. The money should be earned, the wealth should be earned in a righteous way. And our desire should also be regulated. Our desire should not go and annihilate the other persons. It should be directed according to Dharma. All these four goals are of immense to human individuals. The first three are absolutely necessary for good social life. Artha and Kama are treated as base values and Dharma is treated as a higher value. Artha, Kama, that is when it is regulated, when Artha, Kama are regulated through Dharma, then we can attain Moksha. The Dharma is in between Artha and Kama. Artha and Kama are regulative principle of Dharma and which leads to Moksha. Perfection in human life is the ultimate goal of each and every man. Every individual seeks qualitatively good life. It is not merely the longer duration of life which is important, but such duration is always needs to be qualitatively good. They say that, usually we say that how many hours or how many years you have lived, how much you have done, what is the good you have done to the society. So, we have to do good to others, we have to promote the welfare of the society, then only our life actually has got its meaning. It has got its purpose solved. If each individual performs his or her assigned duties as obligations towards others in society, then the life in society would be qualitatively good. The purpose of cosmic process is reflected in the human activity. All humans endeavor to pursue those goals which have existential concern. Whenever actually we do something, we may think that we are actually nearing the perfection. We should always think that it should promote the welfare of the society. We should take everybody along with us. Science and technology and other art forms are pursued for the welfare of mankind. However, in order to regulate all these incidental sciences, there needs to an overarching principle called dharma. These goals of human life are guiding principles for worthy life to be practiced by every individual. Artha, Kama, Dharma and Moksha have different dimensions. All these dimensions contribute to the social and spiritual life of individuals. The Hindu view of life provides an integrated approach to human life without leaving away any significant value. For instance, the stages of life, social orders, the goals of human life together contribute to a society that is worthy of human life. This framework has its own validity as a useful tool. So in Hindu view, we don't neglect or ignore any person at any level. We always think of others and we always take all others with us. That is the significance of Hindu philosophy. Dharma in the scheme serves as an overriding principle. It is the foundation of all morality and served as the fundamental law of ancient Hindu society. As we have seen already, cosmic moral order, that is Rita, it is comprehensive, it underlies the each and every individual being in the world. It actually regulates, it is a principle which regulates the entire universe. We may think that we do this thing then and we get this, because of our efforts only we have got this perfection. It is not so. The cosmic order, the cosmic moral order, Rita, actually binds everybody. We may or we may not know it. The Dharma Shastras or treatises on the codes of conduct invariably keeps Dharma as their fulcrum. Dharma and human conduct. All our reflections and considerations center around moral and legal dimensions of human conduct. They presuppose a particular view of human conduct in which moral and legal responsibilities are taken care of. For instance, the expression Purusha in Mimamsa is used to refer to the agent of action. The agent of action is not only a doer but also an enjoyer. The purpose of morality is to ensure virtuous life through proper knowledge and righteousness. Therefore, the agent of action must know first what virtue is and then pursue it with will and capability to realize it. After realizing it, he has to cultivate the discipline through which he can achieve it. If one has the knowledge of a particular goal, it is not enough. One should have knowledge to understand what it is, and to achieve it, we need a path. We should also know the path. Then only we can achieve that goal. If one has the knowledge but does not have the knowledge of the path, then he can only visualize but he cannot realize the goal. It is suggested in Hindu ethics that one requires a three-pronged strategy to achieve it. The strategy involves end, sadhya, means, sadhana, and modalities. Iti kartavyata. So, end, means, and modalities. All the three are important. One without the other is futile. Dharma in this context stands for virtue and virtuous conduct. It regulates human conduct, hence it has instrumental value. It is viewed as a means to nishrayasa or moksha. The state of moksha is technically the state of perfection. Dharma also regulates one's desire for artha and kama also. It provides a kind of spiritual perspective to these human goals. One has to legitimately acquire material kinds, artha, for their legitimate enjoyment, kama. Both of these goals require a proper and balanced management through dharma. If they defy the role of dharma, then they are not purusharthas. Even the Mahabharata, it is held that artha has economic value. For the equitable distribution of artha, there is a need for dharma. Even kama is also regulated by dharma, for otherwise there is possibility of men overindulging in that. Also, one's enjoyment of material kinds should not be impediment to social progress and harmony. Therefore, the intervention of dharma becomes important. Here, one point should be noted: our kama and artha should be regulated by dharma. If one is more towards kama, it may lead to many psychological disturbance in one's life. Nowadays, we see a lot of things happening in and around us. That is, going through hurdles by the adolescent age, and in the senescence also we see a lot of problems because of the desire aspect of it. One should know how to control it, or one should follow dharma, then the kama will be regulated and nobody will be suffering psychologically. And this artha also, if one indulges too much in amassing the wealth, then he will create lot of problems not only to the society but also to himself in particular. In order to ensure norm adherence and to check norm violation, there must be a secular agency. Such an agency which gives dharma to interfere into the artha and kama whenever they exceed the limit is the law and also the authority of a person. So we need a law to check people. Men at large, they may abide the legality, not morality. Without knowing what it is, he may commit. Once if it actually hinders the other man's freedom, then the law will interfere and then law will punish them. It may be immoral and it may be illegal also, both at a time. So the moral actions, if one realizes that it is not dharma, then he won't perform it once again. If it is actually a crime, it should be punished by the law only. Together they constitute a Rajadharma and a Dandaniti. Irrespective of the form of political governance, a state needs a rule of law and its enforcing authority. Any form of political governance seeks to establish the above mentioned cherished goals. Therefore, governance, legislature, executive and other forms of administration must adhere to dharmic principles. Without artha and kama, the purusharthas are incomplete. For the all-round progress of society and for its prosperity, we need to have dharma as a guiding principle. Universal peace, prosperity, health and happiness cannot be achieved without the interference of dharma. So, again and again, Hindu moral order says that we should be abide by dharma always, at all stages of life, in all our duties, in all our obligations, throughout our life, we have to be dharmic. The rulers are not the masters. They are first public servants. As Shukra held in his Shukraniti, a ruler is both a master and a servant of people. One may be master by virtue of law and a servant by virtue of wages. Therefore, it is the responsibility of the ruler to protect the people just as mother protects her children. A king should not think that he can perform anything at his will. He should not think he is more independent and he can rule as a dictator. It is not like that. Whenever he goes wrong, the dharma checks him, dharma regulates him. So, the Hindu philosophers, whenever there is the function Abhisheka, Rajya Abhisheka, what he does is he will go around the Homa Gundam or the Yagashala. The king will be followed by the minister will be followed by the Raja Purohita or the man who advises in dharma. So whenever the king says that he is great, the Raja Purohit, what he will say, what he does is, he will actually have the stick in his hand and then taps or pats on the back of the king and then say, dharma is great, dharma is superior. According to dharma only, the king should rule. So this will be repeated thrice or 4 times. The significance is the king should not follow the adharma and be a dictator. He should be a benevolent king, not a dictator or a aristocrat. Kautilya in his Arthashastra writes that a ruler must always think that like anyone else, he is also a paid servant. The kingdom is not meant for the ruler, but it must be enjoyed together by the ruler and the ruled. Further, he holds that the happiness of people is the happiness of the ruler. They are not two different things. What more satisfaction does the ruler get other than seeing the enjoyment of his own people? The benefit of people is his own benefit. What is dear to the people is also dear to him. In other words, the ruler and the ruled desire the same result, for they are inseparable from any form of governance. This is precisely where we see the role of dharma. The whole idea is that by ensuring the happiness of people and their well-being, the ruler ensures his own well-being. A good ruler who rules this state in accordance with the rules of Dharma cannot be displaced by his own people. He never allowed his people to wage a no trust against him. What is Rajadharma? A ruler who administers to accommodate good, shun evil and vices, and to proliferate virtues. Such a ruler is called Dharma Gopta, the one who follows Dharma and one who teaches Dharma, one who thinks of Dharma always, one who always thinks of the welfare of his own people. He is a good king and he can never be thrown out by any individual or any revolution. Similarly, the ruler has to maintain the law and order. So that is called Danda in our Hindu philosophy. What are the characteristics of a ruler? The ruler is the upholder of order. His rule must be free from vices and social evils. He is the guardian of his own people. At the time of taking oath, the ruler must categorically affirm that he will ensure all the steps towards the protection of his people and never to act in an arbitrary manner. So he cannot do according to his own whims and fancies. He should always consider his ministers. He should rule according to Dharma and he should protect the ruled. He should never punish unnecessarily, or he should never punish without going through the evidences. And he should always work for the welfare of the people only. He must be the true follower of Dharma. In order to execute Dharma for the benefit of people, he must be fearless and free to act. A ruler who exercises power and enforces punishment would get the praise of his people only when his actions are free from any partiality. Such actions bring about universal peace and happiness. Now, in modern days, we can see a ruler always acts without the rule says, the Hindu ethics says that each and every king should follow Dharma and he should be unbiased. Now, if one ruler or a king or a minister or whoever rules us, if he is partial, if he is biased, and if he is one-sided, and if he has all sorts of vices, you cannot see any welfare, or he can never work for the welfare of the society. He will be always selfish and he will always promote a biased or a society with full of vices. The ruler also would become a role model to other rulers. Even in the Manusmriti, one finds reference to this. It is a public order that regulates people. Public order protects people and provides security to them. So now we come to the concluding part of Dharma. As discussed above, Dharma has many meanings in many contexts, but in every meaning of Dharma, its essence is retained. Dharma is regarded as the most pivotal and seminal concept in the Indian culture. The whole living world is under the guidance of Dharma. It stands both for means and the end, the path and the goal, what is and what ought to be. It is a concept of perennial universal significance. It is not mere theory or doctrine, but it is a view of reality and the way of life. It is something to be obeyed by all. To conclude the present discussion on Dharma, let us see some of the important points that we have referred to. Dharma is one of the most important concepts in Hindu life. Dharma is the regulative principle of Artha and Kama. It is also called in the Vedas as cosmic moral order, called Rita. Rita is the basis. Rita regulates the entire universe. Dharma is not only individualistic but also promotes the welfare of the society. If a man follows Dharma in his life, and he should also promote the universal or societal dharma. You should not be selfish. You should always think of the other. So, if one follows dharma in his life, he will achieve perfection. He will also think of the others, and for further discussion or further explanation, please refer to e-text. Thank you.